Talk. Welcome to Straight Talk. Welcome to Straight Talk. Welcome to Straight Talk. First African President of the United States of America, President Barack Obama.
Good to see you. I just want to say everybody back home, right back at you. We appreciate you. You always give us straight talk.
Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about things that are very important to the African communities of this country. First off, we're talking about business. How many black businesses do we have in Illinois? How many do we have in this country? How many are viable enough to do what businesses are supposed to do? That's employ people. We're going to talk about why they're not viable. We have with us the representative for the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce, which is a part of the National Black Chamber of Commerce. And we're also going to talk about the we have joined us the president of the Federation of Law and Government, Mr. Calvin Bridges. Well, Calvin Bey. Aquila Bey. And the representative for the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce is Mr. Calvin Williams. And on the phone, on the live line, is a recurring guest from Cairo, Illinois, from Champaign, Illinois. Forgive me, I'm a little dyslexic today because I've heard something very, very weird just a couple of seconds ago. Someone was just shot down across the street from our one of our leaders for the Illinois Chamber. Somebody was shot down right across the street from his house. So I'm kind of dyslexic from that. But we're talking about blacks in business and how well we're not doing and how well we could be doing. So first off, Calvin, tell us about Illinois Black Chamber and the big conference we got coming up and how we can support that and how we can make it better for our communities by supporting black businesses.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lillard, for the opportunity to be here tonight.
WL, now my father was Mr. Lillard.
WL. Thank you for the opportunity to come out tonight and to share with you information about the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce and the things that we do in our upcoming conference. The Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce has been around now for 17 years, and our primary function is to advocate for equality for African American businesses around the state of Illinois. What we do are a number of things. We advocate for policy changes. Right now, the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce has gone out and fought for legislative changes that will help to improve black business opportunities for those of us in the state of Illinois. To have the fair opportunities to do business from construction to IT to healthcare. And so wherever there's business in our community, our job is to help to ensure that we have an opportunity to get contracts, both public contracts and private contracts. And so we work down in Springfield quite often to lobby legislators to ensure that they are voting fairly and for policies that are going to help to improve our opportunities. We also work in the private sector with large corporations that are mandated because they spend public dollars on in their business. They're mandated in many cases by federal law to have policies that also improve opportunities for diversity. And so what we do each year around this time is we have a conference, and that conference is to really to highlight and emphasize those partners that we've gained over the years that work with us both publicly and privately, and we showcase the relationships there, and we create networking opportunities for black businesses. And so with this event, We have heads of agencies, including the governor of the state of Illinois, coming down, and they're coming down to specifically talk about the things that they're doing to improve black business opportunities. And so a lot of it on their side has to do with policy. And so, you know, the governor of the state of Illinois has come in, and he has done some things to help those of us in the construction industry, particularly those of us who are not tied to the union or affiliated with unions, to have an opportunity to get government contracts by removing project labor agreements, which for the last few decades have been stifling our opportunities to get work. Also, there are large corporations coming down there who are going to be there with opportunities for black businesses to do business with them. And so this event is a 2-day event that has a lot of workshops and learning opportunities for black business owners, as well as networking opportunities for them to really come in there and to let people know who they are and to build relationships that would hopefully they can foster and turn that into business opportunities.
Well, Aquila, what do you think about that?
Well, first I'd like to say that as an individual that's been a Republican for a long time, I'm glad that he was able to mention that since the Democrats have been in charge of Chicago for over the last 30+ years, they've stifled and not assisted the African American community. And now here's a gentleman who is from the Illinois Black Chamber telling you that the governor has actually opened up the doors, because that is true. We have a lot of men who have gone into the prison system and have taken these different courses, and as soon as they get out, the union blocks them from having a job or having an opportunity. So I think that was a very good statement to make, to let them know that, you know, we do need change, but we also need change by educating ourselves and being much more understanding that if there's something that we as a people need to do, then we're going to have to effectively understand politics. And we're going to have to effectively stop believing that religion and politics are the devil or whatever it is that we do.
Right.
And so that's one of the things that I can say that is a good praise, because it is something when you see all of our Illinois African Americans running to Indiana for cheaper gas, Indiana for cheaper cigarettes, Indiana for everything that they can get their hands on, and yet that's Republican run, and won't say, you know what, enough of here in Chicago. You say you're for the poor, but yet you're bleeding us dry. 99 cents for a hamburger, but you want 12 more cents on top of that for the tax.
But you got to understand why.
Yes, and
well, I'll let Kyle come in first. Let Will come in first, and I'll tell you why.
Sure.
On that, Will.
Well, I think that it's critical in what's being said that you have to understand the power of politics and understand how it really plays an integral part of your life. And I think that most people kind of stray away from it because of lack of knowledge, or B, because it seems corrupt, or whatever the case may be. And everything and most things is of that. But I think that was relative to what the attorney was saying, was that you have to understand the relevance between everyday politics, law, and your life. And I think that's critical.
And I'd like to say, WL, that also the Black Chamber is not party affiliation driven. We are interest driven.
Right.
To us, we support good policy as it relates to African American business owners and their families across the state and their employees. And so regardless to whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or some other third party organization, we support strong policy. And so Governor Rauner has come in, and he happened to have done something that the Democratic Party has not done in quite a few years, to, you know, that benefits African Americans. But had the Democrats, or should the Democrats make the same or similar move that supports us and to helps to strengthen our communities, then the Black Chamber supports that. So I just want to make the point that we're not party driven, we're interest driven. We support our interests when it comes to politics and private sector work.
Well, I say the problem is, let's say the city of Chicago, which Aquila talked about earlier. The city of Chicago is a big business, and it should be ran by a business person. You wouldn't hire, I'm sure General Motors would not hire a politician to come and be the president of General Motors or the chairman of General Motors. You wouldn't do that. Although they may be on the board, they may have voting rights, but they are not running that business into the ground. Like the city of Chicago has been ran into the ground by politicians. They don't know anything about business. Okay, the mayor of this city can create $150,000 jobs in 3 months just by what you just said. 3/4 of the people in Chicago drive across the state line, across the city line, because the city of Chicago has the highest gas in the state, or one of the highest gases in the country, because of taxes being piled up on top of taxes, taxes. So therefore, where the city of Chicago at one time had 4 gas stations on one corner in some areas. Now it's hard to find one gas station on any corner in Chicago. So if those because more than 3/4 of the people purchase their gas in some other town, or if you're closer to the state line, in some other state.
Definitely.
In fact, to be truthful, sometime I drive to another state, okay? Because it's just ridiculous to pay those taxes. So not having a business consciousness, he doesn't know that, hey, all I got to do is bring those taxes back down, and all those people will start shopping back in Chicago. I would have to have all those stations reopened to support that, which would create about 150,000 jobs overnight. So, how would you pay the tax? Well, the volume of people buying gas will bring the revenue back to where it should be. And he wouldn't have to sell the city streets that belong to the public to a foreign country.
Yeah, one of the things that the Chamber does with the business owners that are a part of our organization is that we work to empower them with knowledge and helping them to not only understand where the business opportunities are at, but also where the power in their voice is at. And so when we have politicians that we have an issue on the table, one of the things that we do is we reach out to our constituents, and we ask them to also reach out to their elected officials, because that's where your voice is at, and that's when they hear you. And so when there's an issue on the table, we tell our guys, and we have legislative day down in Peoria, in Springfield as well, where we invite all of our business owners to come down, because that's when we have face-to-face meetings with our legislators to make them aware that, when we have an issue, these are the people that are affected by it. And so we want you to not just hear our voices, we want you to see them and the families that they support and the communities and neighborhoods that they support. So when you're pressured by other people to make decisions that go against our interests, just understand, those people that you are affected, they look like us, and here are many of those people. And so we've had the success on that particular day of having 400 to 500 business owners to come down there and to sit down with not just the legislators, but the agency heads who make a lot of the decisions that affect our ability to get work. So a lot of that's driven in policy, but also many of the decisions are left with the agency heads, meaning that the executive directors and the secretaries of transportation and so on and so forth, those are the people in their executive staff that make a lot of the decisions that are driven not in our interest. So empowerment and knowledge is as important as any other opportunity that we can provide. And so we try to make it our business to ensure that our members are aware of the things that are their challenges that they face and where the opportunities are at, so that we can then empower them to go out and to do. Because no matter how much we fight or how hard we fight to help change policies and to help change the environment out there and the opportunities, as a black business owner, you still have to be willing and to go out and do the things that you need to do to grow your business. That doesn't prevent you from going out and networking with the people that have the opportunities. It doesn't stop you from helping to improve your own business, creating your business plan, understanding how to run your back office, and those things that we need to know in order to be successful and to be prepared for those opportunities as they come up. So empowerment and knowledge for our people is very important. And what we try to do is to encourage everyone to get involved. Silence is our biggest enemy. Like, we don't participate in in public policy. We don't get involved with issues that are on the table that could shut your business down. In the construction world, we had a bill that we fought the unions on for 3 years or more, It was called House Bill 924. The Black Chamber fought that bill with some other interested organizations. Had that bill passed, if you're not in a union as a black person or anyone else, you would not have been able to do work with no municipalities. You wouldn't have been able to do work with any state government agency. That bill was designed to capture all the work around the state for the unions. And see,
For the union.
Now,
we knew
And
that.
who's in the union?
okay, now I just want to intersect the question here. And I mean, we're talking about years here. People stifle because, and I agree, the education part is important, but if we're not interested in finding people and uplifting them to educate, and also, again, get the stigma away that education is important and to act. He brought up another thing that I just said before, and that is, if I'm going to allow the politicians who control policy to continue to dictate and not change, it's not so much as threatening them, it's so much as saying, look, I'm aware of this policy, and I'm going to let the community know. And when the community knows, they'll be better to vote against you, because you're not providing opportunities. You know, I remember when all the congressmen went out to 95th and the Dan Ryan, and they were hollering about giving African Americans jobs, and all the construction people laughed and said, no, we don't have to do this, because you're voting the same people in that don't care about you over and over again. This is about us as a community, as people. The votes is what count. And if you're stagnant enough to keep saying, I'm going to keep voting in that politician who writes this policy, like he said, I'm fighting bill this, that, who you think wrote the bill? You have to attack the person writing the bill, sad to say. Whether you are a Democrat or Republican, you have to still say, I'm knowledgeable enough about this policy to know who drafted it, who wrote it, who put it in the House, and say, you're going against the interest of the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce, and we won't stand for that. But we have to allow the education to go further than just those who are educated. We have to talk to the youth and let them know in 5 years from now, this will affect you, because you're growing up now saying, I want to be a business owner. I want to take over that corner store. I want to buy this land. I want to do this. And if there's no education starting out at the bottom saying, hey, you know what, we're going to put certain things in place with community organizations that are going to say whether we are politically connected or not, it's saying I'm aware.
But by the same token, you can do all that, but what about the people in the community?
And
when they walk by the black business and go to any other culture?
Well, see, that's again when it comes to the education, because I can open up a business book.
Won't do it.
I can open up a business book, and if I print the same 9 or 10 things that make that other business that you're going to great, and I stand on it, it's, you know, when we look at how we hire our employees, when we train them, we can communicate to them the importance of them looking at that same policy, rules, and regulations, how important it is. Not only is that the education part, to let them look at that rule or regulation, but it's letting them know that one day, if I trust you, see, that's the key of saying to that starter who's mopping floors today, might tomorrow be the frontline manager. As the owner of this small business, hiring maybe 1 or 2 youth, letting the youth know that one day I may have to step away. How can I trust you? I can trust you if you learn that there are rules of engagement to each business, right?
We understand that.
Okay.
But the Straight Talk Economic Roundtable, of which we ran for almost 20 years in Chicago, attempting to bring the businesses together.
Okay.
Okay. Why the Straight Talk Economic Roundtable were black businesses in Chicago.
Okay.
We had almost all of them as a part of the membership to appear every Thursday morning at 7 a.m. at Captain's Hard Time. In fact, we had both floors filled. The first floor and the basement filled, and people still coming. So we had to start a litmus test. You got to come with a receipt that you as a black business person purchased from a black business.
Okay.
Do you know how many black businesses come up to the desk to get registered in and think, oh man, I didn't get my receipt.
Right.
Run across the street, buy a pack of gum
right back
from Chatham Foods,
yes.
and come back, I got my black receipt.
Yes.
See, no interest in really making the thing work, because we have a lot of black business perpetrators, Calvin.
Yeah.
You know, this is why they don't last, they don't stay in business as long as you have. and I've been in business as a private detective since 1964. See, 51 years of business. And I say if a business can last 3 years, beyond the 2-year mark,
Yes.
he's a business person. But most of them, how many people have you heard, Calvin, over the years? Oh, Will, you're on the phone, you're on the phone. How many people have you heard say, well, man, I'm tired of working. I'm gonna open me a business. I'm tired of working. That's when work starts, when you open your own business.
Yes, it does.
I'm not working for somebody else. I'm gonna do as much, less work as I possibly can working for someone else. Everyone does. My employees, I have to constantly have a supervisor there because they're gonna do as much, less work as they possibly can if you don't watch them.
That's right. That's right.
So, but when you're talking about, I'm tired of working, I'm gonna open a business, I know the business is not gonna last.
Right.
And this what we have, the black business perpetrators. I galvanized, I'm sorry, go ahead, Will.
I mean, I think that one of you bring up a great point, WL, and all the points that have been that's discussed as far have been solid points as it pertains to whether it's policy or business. But one of the things just that I'm excited about and have been excited about the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce Convention and just the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce being in existence, because it gives a voice that there are successful black businesses, and that's a strong point, because there are a lot of people that don't believe, number one, that there is a sizable pool of black businesses, and number two, that those businesses are successful. I think that as I've studied and represented business in my short years, being 33, and just for a few years, I've seen good businesses, I've seen bad businesses. I've seen good white businesses, I've seen bad white businesses, good black businesses, bad black. But the thing that's interesting about good and bad white businesses is that we'll still go out, people still go out and support them whether they had a bad experience or not. They'll say that it was a bad experience. But black business, the reason why it's hard and it's hard to continue to build into what you were talking about, WL, or supporting like that, is because we got to give each other a chance, and we got to speak highly of each other, and that's what I like about the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce, and I like the convention because there are 400 businesses and people who have like-minded aspirations that come to the convention, and they get to see success. So I think part of it is seeing success, supporting success, not supporting nonsense or mess, recognizing that, like you said, WL, you got to recognize that business is hard work every day of your life, at least the life of the business.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
Just celebrating those successes are important.
Well, see, what I ran into, I said, okay, gentlemen, you got to understand that you are the leaders of the community. Not the politician, not the preacher, not the civil rights leader, but you as a business person who are employing people are the leaders.
And that's why I was reiterating the subject about when you hire that individual who knows nothing.
Right.
If you give them a little bit of that self-esteem, letting them know that one day it could be you could be opening this store one day. See, a lot of times, and this goes back to even what you were saying about the perpetration issue. If we're not going to take over as leaders, because if I want to start a business, I know that I have to make this money. But let's look on the wide scale. I gave an interest in one of the classes that I teach. Walgreens has a manager of each Walgreens. Then they have a district manager for Walgreens. At the end of the day, this district manager looks on this computer and says, hey, you know what? Your sales are going down. I have to figure out why I get rid of you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes these managers have hired friends or whatever the case may be and have not instilled in them the communication of this is a 9 to 5 for you, 8 to 4 for you, and we have to follow the rules of engagement of business.
Right,
because
right.
if I trusted you enough to hire you, putting my livelihood on the line, then that should be some self-esteem for you, number one. But number two, let's look at the rules of engagement about business. I don't need you walking on the block. As soon as as you get on the block, your pants need to be pulled up. When you walk, why? Tell them why. Because then you become that leader to them. You become that educator to them. And that's a lot of things that's not being done for the small business community owner. He's not doing that.
What that business owner should do, Calvin, what should he do? He should lead the community. He should go out into the community and let the community know that I'm your representative.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm the go-between between you and that politician who's not going to listen to you, but he'll listen to me because he looks to me for a donation.
Right. Being a business owner actually comes with the ultimate civic responsibility, because, as you just stated, when you own a business, you have an obligation to the community to provide a fair product, a great service for a fair price. And that's what people in the community are going to respect. But what you also bring to that community, you bring jobs to that community, and you also bring resources to the community in terms of finances, because you're paying taxes on the business in that particular community. And for those of us that don't really understand, our education system in Illinois is tied to taxes.
Right.
It's tied to property taxes. The reason that our kids don't get the better equipment and resources in the school system and the better teachers is because our finances are low based on the amount of the value of the properties in our neighborhoods. And so when you support black businesses in your community, you're supporting that tax base. You're increasing dollars that goes to your school system. You're increasing dollars to help support other resources within your community, your libraries and your other theaters, and you also draw other businesses into your community, other larger corporations into your community, because your per capita income goes up. And so with all that being said, as a business owner, you have an ultimate responsibility to grow that business and to sustain that business, because when you own a business, you're not just responsible for your household. Those people that work for you have families, and so you're helping to support their families. And so it just grows exponentially. So when you talk about black business versus other businesses owned in our communities, yeah, we should be looking to support our businesses first. Other business owners or other races come into our community because they know a few things about us. They know that, one, we're consumers. African Americans spend money in large dollar amounts, and we don't tend to spend it in our community. We don't tend to spend it with our own people. And so when they bring a product into our community, it's not always the best product. If you take a look around at who's providing what, look at who owns our Dunkin' Donuts. Look at the guys that own the corner store. Look at the guys that own the, those fast food restaurants that fry all their food. I mean, they know that these are things that black folks are going to buy, the gym shoes. But where's the substance in our community? When are they bringing in the healthy food places? Or when are they bringing in the grocery stores? And if you look in the inner city of Chicago, the grocery stores are few and far in between, for example. You look around, you see more mom and pop, small stores that don't sell things that are really relevant to us, but they know that that's what we'll buy.
But
right?
I'll tell you something else that you do.
Sure.
That other businesses don't do or haven't done in the past. You've gone out into your community and you build relationships.
Yes.
And you build relationships based on the fact that you can do more for them than they can do for you.
Yes.
Because you are the leader. And when you build those relationships, naturally they're going to support you. If you open I would say, I've told business people in my group, I can open a little corner grocery store today, and in 2 years it'll be as big as a Grand Bazaar.
Sure.
Because I would go out into the community personally and knock on doors within the geographic area of that store, talking to at least 2,000 or 3,000 people, letting them know I'm here to support you, I'm here to help you, I'm here to make sure that you are treated fairly by the politicians, because they won't listen to you, but they will listen to me. I gave an example. I took, you know Taylor, right? Codwell that owned Taylor Wright Cleaners.
Yes.
The chain of Taylor Wright Cleaners. I told him this. He said, "Man, that sounds like a dynamite idea. Let's do it." So, because I was on local television at the time, known, I said, "I'll walk with you." So I walked with him in his community, and man, he got so excited. People were giving him bullet points on what's needed in the community and what they haven't gotten from the politician. One lady said, "A tree is about to fall on my house," and I'm 80 something years old. my husband died. There's nothing I could do about the tree. It's in the yard next door and no one lives there, although the community keeps the house up to make it look as if, you know, it's not vacant, so no one would come and destroy it. So she said, I've called forestry. Forestry say call the streets and sanitation. I call streets and sanitation. They tell me to call the alderman. I call the alderman. The alderman tells me to call forestry. Round robin.
Right.
So he said he wrote it down. He couldn't wait to get back to his office. Called the alderman and said, come down here. I need to talk with you.
Right.
And the next day, the alderman was over at the lady's house, and the next day, the tree was cut down.
Right.
Now that goes. I'm sorry. That goes again with what I was saying. When a business is open, if we start with that kind of knowledge of letting that person who you're letting, because you know, most inner city kids in the African American community, they feel there's no hope. So now, if you give me a job, oh well. But if you're educating me while I'm there, like you're saying, hey, walk with me and knock on these doors. Hey, let me tell you the reason why you're not listened to, but I am as a business. Now, as that youth that's 18 years old who has this $10 an hour job, seeing that you're making money, I'm getting a check from you, and you're telling me that it's possible one day I'll be opening the doors one day, that's what they're doing in these other communities. They're doing exactly what you're saying when it comes to the education. And that's what our agency has been doing a very long time. It's not so much as whether you vote this way or do this or do that. It's having the knowledge to know that if I start a business, that is the first day of a long work day.
Right.
But I also know that there's much more responsibility now because I have been taught by an individual who I worked under, whether it be at the body shop down the street or the local store owner down the street. He told me that, hey, if I open up a business, I'm going to have much more responsibility, but also a little bit more power too to effect change because of that lady that lived next door who had that tree issue. So that gives that youth an opportunity to grow up a little bit quicker with the understanding that he needs to straddle up and say, hey, if I can make my product fair, as you were stating, and also at that good price, and people keep coming in, and I'm making that money to support the community and reinvest in the community by hiring more people. Therefore, that education tool comes in now to where these youth who wanted these jobs can say, hey, Don down the street told me on how you told him on how you were able to help that lady with the tree. Because I even tried to assist. See, that now we become a community now because that 18-year-old has told that 16-year-old, that 16-year-old told that 13-year-old, and it becomes a widespread thing. Because I tell you, if you take the Red Line train right now to Loyola, because I monitor one of the agencies I own, monitors transportation. I have been up and down the communities of the African culture and the Jewish culture. And at 9 o'clock at night, those business owners put on their garbs and they walk Devon. And they talk about trade, they talk about investment, they talk about how many new employees they may need next month because so-and-so is going to college or whatever the case may be. But that education is now put in play.
Well, see, the whole country is dumbing it down. The whole country is dumbing it down. Well, actually, the world is.
Okay.
But with the exception of a few, Calvin, who are, we are not. Okay? But I'm sure your mother did not tell you when you told her that you wanted to be in construction. She didn't tell you, get on with me, boy, with your little dumb self.
No, she didn't.
Talking about some construction.
Right.
See, how many people in my community have I seen do that to their children?
Right.
So that child, this is my mama telling me this. I'm dumb.
Right.
You got to go to school to get an education. Go ahead, Will.
So, I apologize I have to leave abruptly, but I want to say that in all that there are a lot of challenges to developing business, but I will say this and I'll be quiet. One of the things that I was excited about to meet you and to meet people like Calvin and the attorney that's talking, I got to get your name. I'm sorry I didn't write it down, but I want to say that I was excited to see your success. I was excited to hear your story, and the more I get to know you, being in business since 1964, that's beyond an impressive run. And it means that you have a wealth of knowledge, not just about your practice, but business in general. I'm excited about those things, and I think that we need to celebrate those things. I end with a quick testimony. celebrating business from the bottom to the top. I was driving down the street, and there was a guy he had a detail business, and he did. I mean, I kid you not, all of his product was on the ground. But I went to the business nevertheless and got a really good car wash. And so giving our businesses a chance and celebrating our history and celebrating our successes are going to be key to building business and promoting each other. Online, I have a guy that just put together a online directory for our black businesses in Champaign. His name is Chris Media, CHRISP Media, MEDIA.com, chrismedia.com. And we create the ccblackbusiness.com, which gives businesses an opportunity to talk about their successes, but also to let people know we do have businesses. So I end my comments just thanking you and the participants of the show and the listeners who are in business and who have a success story to tell, so that we can continue to build upon your successes and move forward.
Will, I appreciate you too, and I'm gonna call you a little later on, okay?
Will do, sir.
Okay, I'll give you a call a little later.
Yes, sir.
If I could,
okay.
Thank you, Will. Point out, Will Cowles is a city councilman in the city of Champaign, Illinois.
Right.
And he's also the president of the Champaign County Black Chamber of Commerce. And so Will is very immersed in helping black businesses from both political side as well as the business side. And so,
right.
you know, Will works tirelessly with the Black Chamber.
And as he said, he's only 33 years old.
Yeah, and Will is very much a powerful force down in the city of Champaign and in
City
Champaign
councilman
County.
at large.
He's city councilman at large, which is a big deal. But he's also a father and a husband, and so he understands all of the benefits and the deficiencies of owning a business and being involved in politics and business. And so I want to just point that out, because Will is not just a voice on the phone. He actually is a very strong proponent of growing black business. And Will is a person that goes to Springfield frequently and help to lobby for black businesses and the issues and challenges that they face down in Champaign County as well as in other areas around the state. And I just want to point out that, you know, the Black Chamber of Commerce is an organization that has more than 25 affiliate chambers around the state. And when we are involved in an issue and we take on challenges from Champaign to Decatur to Quincy to Waukegan to Rockford, as far south as Cairo and Carbondale, when we take on an issue, we're standing firm for the interests of those African American business owners and families in that community. Sometimes issues spread across the state, but there are often times where there are issues that are germane just to that particular area. And so the chamber, as a state organization, we go down and we assist that local chamber to help bring about change. And when we go down there, our goal and our sole focus is to help enlighten the politicians or the legislators on the challenges that they're presenting to the black community with some of the decisions that they're about to make or have made or haven't made. And so we go down and we educate them. Politicians are people. And I think, you know, you mentioned accountability earlier on. They don't know everything. They really don't. Most of them are very much, their knowledge is relegated to their profession. They're either lawyers or they've been some other professional, and they're learning about the other aspects of life. And so a lot of times what we have to do when we sit down with them is not to get frustrated with them or yell at them. It's really to educate them on our challenges and to help them to understand why our challenges exist. And a lot of time there's a very positive dialogue between them and us to help them to understand and to help us to understand many times, you know, how we can reach a compromise on some things. And sometimes there are no compromises, and we make it firm, and the chamber will stand firm on our issues and our beliefs that there needs to not be or need to be whatever this subject matter is. We stand on that. But when there's room for compromise, we're willing to compromise as long as we don't lose what's in the best interest of our communities. And so I'm encouraging everyone that's listening that owns a business or interested in being in business. August 12th and 13th, the place to be is Peoria, Illinois, Paradise Hotel and Casino. That's the date of our conference. And at that conference are going to be the decision makers.
Go ahead, keep it.
Those are going to be the decision makers around the state in government and in private sector business opportunities. There are jobs. One of the things that we learned too, for those guys out there that are in the workforce, is that many of our utility companies are they're facing a challenge right now in that they're losing a lot of staff to retirement over the next 5 to 10 years, and they're looking very hard to replace them. And because of their relationships with the Black Chamber of Commerce, those guys are looking for talented African Americans to come help fill those positions. And so those presidents are going to be down at our conference, and their senior staff as well. So this is an opportunity for people that are in business, either in the workforce or as a business owner, to come down and to network. You know, these opportunities are real. The state of Illinois as a whole spend about $19 or $20 billion a year buying services. They spend money on roads, they spend money on buildings, they spend money on everything from toothpaste to anything else you can think of. The state buys it. When you think about the
and we help pay for it.
Yeah, well, right, of course, your tax dollars pay for it, whether it's federal taxes through your income taxes, right, or through local, state, and community, other county taxes, and that you are paying for those goods and services, and so you should benefit from them. And the reality of it is, there's been some studies commissioned around the state, as an example, and I'm a contractor. I'm in the construction business, and so I'm all things construction. I'm not an expert on IT. I don't speak on IT issues. I have IT challenges as a business owner sometimes, but I know construction, and so that's what I speak to. And there were studies commissioned by a few different state agencies because they wanted to talk about and see where the disparities were at in state government spending. And so one of the things that we learned, and they've done several of these over the years, one of the things that we've learned is that African Americans have been awarded less than 1% of state contracted dollars. And so when you start looking at the bottom line here, it's really about dollars, and we can talk about the behavior of African Americans in our community and how we spend our money and how we vote. The majority knows that. That's why when they're bringing businesses or not bringing things to our community, it's all a part of the plan, right? They decided there's no need to spend money over here because black folks aren't paying attention, or they're not voting, or they're not, you know, owning their businesses, or in doing the right things, or they put policies in place that help keep you from gaining access to opportunities, and we could name those policies, but all that comes from who you put into office and who you hold, or how you hold them accountable. One of the things that the Chamber does is hold our legislators and our corporate business owners accountable to black people.
Now
and so
I'm sorry.
We don't talk about when we go in there, we really focus on the opportunities, and we share with them exactly, you know, when we ask the question, where's your, you know, how diverse is your workforce, where's the diversity in your contracting? And you start asking, how much tax dollars do you get? You know, how tax breaks are tax dollars. I mean, if you're a corporation and you should be spending $10 million on taxes, but because you're getting a tax break, you're only paying $4 million. Well, that's you know, that's tax incentive.
A large figure.
Yeah, it is, but I'm just pointing out that they're getting taxpayer dollars, whether it comes from benefits or some other means. They're getting taxpayer dollars, so they're accountable to having a diverse workforce and to have a diverse contracting program, right? When no one speaks up, when black people don't speak up, when we don't say anything, we're approving what they're doing, and whether it's policy. On public
Same
policy,
thing with our
or
politicians.
letting the corporations get away with it.
Right. And that's again where I'm trying to intersect with him again when it deals with that. See, mind you, this is the Illinois Business Chamber, but first you have to look at somebody like Federation for Law and Government. Now, I've been around 15 years. One of the things we do is we teach the youth, as young as 12 years old, trying to say, hey, you know, because I catch them on the street, I catch them on the trains. Moms have put their kids out there on trains selling candy and stuff. One of the things you do is you want to grab that youth and you want to teach them so that they're ready to come in contact with the business environment when they become a business owner. See, if we let them grow up without that knowledge, then therefore that's where a problem begins. So what we do in Federation for Law and Government is we say, whether, like you said, whether or not you're voting or not isn't the issue. The issue is knowing the answer, knowing where to look up a policy, knowing how to educate yourself about the policy, knowing who wrote the policy, knowing how long that person's been around. Is that person benefiting you? Because again, policy is something that is government, something that your elected officials is doing. So if I'm 18 years old and I'm saying to myself, my goal is to be in business by 21 because I'm going to go Harold Washington College and get this associate's degree, then I have to be prepared. And one of the things Federation for Law and Government has done for its 15 years is say, here are the answers. So that when you do get that business at 21, then you're going to be able to meet persons in the Illinois Black Business Association that is going to say, hey, do you know this? Do you know? Yes, what I do. Yes, sir, I do. See, that's the whole thing, is that from that childhood or that youth age of saying, I want to do something, they need people out there like our agency who's going to say, I'm here to teach you the answers and give you straightforward talk. And just like, you know, one thing we tell people is when you look at NA, AA, SA, and the rest of them, the first thing they tell you to do is you have to look in the mirror and say, yesterday I made a mistake. Tomorrow I'm going to do better. Because that's how that alcoholic repairs himself, because he has to first admit to the problem. And the problem is we're not knowledgeable about how powerful our politicians are. We don't even, some of us are out there on the street thinking that my vote doesn't count just because they hear that the president is elected by the Electoral College, where every other person who's elected in office is elected by your vote.
By the people.
So this is what I'm saying.
By the people.
Simple things like this is what I do. When I walk up and down Michigan Avenue and I see an 18-year-old kid shingling a cup or trying to sell a DVD or in the CTA Red Line Tunnel, I say, let's come to this group at the Harold Washington Library. Let's come to a heads meeting where we're going to ask some questions and see what knowledge you have, and let's work on where you can find in this big giant library all the answers, so that when you do become that businessman and you do spend the time and energy to travel to Peoria, you're going to be very well affected. But you're also going to be very well advised, because now you can communicate with these other business people. And let's talk about what he said also about contracts. He said less than 1%. The reason why he said that is what? Because they know. Everybody's looking at the African American community and saying, what are you really doing? You're allowing other agencies, such as lawn care agencies that are owned and operated by Latino and Puerto Rican and Mexicans, to come in, and your son is 15 and won't mow your lawn. The Mexican knows this, so he comes in your area and says, hey, I'm going to do your lawn. Here's a price. It's boom. Instead of us being able to acknowledge what the truth is in business, we try and dummy down and say, well, they'll do it for anything. That's why we can't get it in. That's a lie. We're too busy looking at the lie because we don't have people like our agency growing to say, hey, here's an agency like Federation for Law and Government that's going to teach you that it's not about that Mexican coming to my door and saying, I'll do it for $1.
What I hear you saying right now is that you're going to take about 10 of those youth to the chamber.
That's correct,
12,
because
right?
the people that we're teaching are going to be able to say, I can stand at least 10% on this man's level. Because when he asks me a question about money, am I even knowledgeable about contracts with the state? No, but guess what? We know this stuff. And that's what it is. It's about the education of our youth growing up, knowing that these things are possible. So that when they get to agencies such as this businessman who's a contractor, he's going to be able to give them
not dummy them down.
Yes.
The education is already there.
Right.
Yeah. See, the education,
we just have to lead them to it.
Education is universal.
Right.
And if you leave a child alone, that child will let you know that he's educated once he gets a certain
The
age.
Black Chamber, and I agree, I think your assessment as well, that, you know, it's the 12th and the 13th is a good time to bring those youth down to Peoria, because we have lots of opportunities for them to sit in with business owners and to hear the conversation of how business is made. I mean, business is made, many times business is simply made in conversation. It's not always about what you know. A lot of it has to do with who you know in the relationships.
Let's see, who's on the live line?
Vincent Gilbert here, WL. You know what, you guys, it's a joy to see educated black men talk about issues that are vital to our community, WL. WL, you know, I live less than a block from you, and there was a murder on my block in the last hour, WL, just a half a block from you, 100 yards from me. So we got police over here, and it kind of threw me for a loop a little bit, but that bespeaks the importance of what you gentlemen are talking about. We have to be able to replace this negative, violent behavior with positive behavior a job, a contract, and an opportunity. We know that most people don't work for a corporation. Most people don't work for government. Most people don't work for a farm entity. Most people work for small businesses. Which WL, you represent. Calvin Williams is doing an excellent job. He represents the Councilman William Cowles and the young man from the criminal justice. You know, when it knocks on your door, WL, it's real close. And we were about to go on air, and my son came in and said, Dad, you didn't hear all those police cars? And I was busy preparing for this. But let me just add, it's so important. You guys have covered a lot of things about the convention. I want to give out a number. 309-740-4430. That's 309-740-4430. That's the number to the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce. It's still not too late to register. We will be the moderator, WL, on an important energy panel. I heard Calvin talk about just the level of individuals that will be there. The president of Nicor Gas will be there. He's a black man, WL and Calvin, Melvin Williams. Michelle Bays, she's the senior vice president of ComEd, a black woman.
Yep, yes.
She'll be there. Ron Payton, senior vice president of Amron. And Jerry Fulmer, vice president, Supply Diversity, WEC Energy Corp., a black man. So there are tremendous opportunities. There's an opportunity fair on the 12th. The new procurement chairman of the Cook County Board, Commissioner Richard Boykin, will be opening that session. That session will be for those black businesses that have already registered, but there will be contracting opportunities. This is not a dog and a pony show, WL. You know, we don't profess to engage in any dog and pony shows. These are real contracting opportunities for black businesses. I didn't say Hispanic businesses. I didn't say Aleutian businesses. I didn't say women-owned businesses. I said black-owned businesses. They can be owned by black women. But, you know, being pro-black, WL, Calvin, does not mean that we're anti any other group.
Right.
But we are unbossed, and under the leadership of the chamber with Larry Ivory, who suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, WL and Calvin, as you know. Sometimes just those individuals that help our people the most are the ones that suffer the most from our community. But it's very important. August 12th and 13th, you've got IDOT, CMS, the toll road. You'll have state agencies, city agencies. I know Jamie Reed, who is the head of procurement for the city of Chicago. She'll be there. So these are contracting opportunities, WL, so we don't have to have what I'm witnessing out 50 yards from my front door, WL, a half a block from your house. A kid, 21 years old, who's laying in the street, dead. And he lived on 109th and Low, WL, so just 2 more blocks from us.
Yeah.
So it's more than a symbiotic relationship of what you guys are talking about. What you guys are talking about are the answer, because we can just not tell these guys stop and not replace that negative behavior with positive behavior. This is how they're feeding their families, WL. This is how mother is getting the rent money. This is how little sister is getting lunch money to go to school. This is how they're paying for the cable bill. So we just can't do like Nancy Reagan said, just say no. We have to take leadership. And the leadership, WL, is embodied in small businesses. So you guys are doing a great job. I'm sorry for not being able to call in, but I'm kind of discombobulated right now because, you know, when you talk about let Ralph do it or let Betty do it, we are Ralph. We are Betty. And we have to stand up, WL, as business owners and take the lead. That's why the Garden Initiative is full force behind Larry Ivory and the Black Chamber of Commerce, along with our Federation partner, Allied International Workers Union, led by Tom Harris, Bishop Porter. It's a lot of people, WL, that support the Chamber, and I want black businesses to come there so they can get some jobs, some contracts, and opportunity. We can turn our community around.
Okay. I want to do a little commercial right now before we close out, because we are running out of time, and I want to do a commercial before we run out of time. So hold on for a second, guys. We'll be right back after these messages.
International Detective and Protective Services, 1-773-675-8506. Over 20 years of armed security experience. The very best in shopping mall security, inventory watch, find missing loved ones, investigative open legal cases, community policing. Are you taking a vacation this summer? For peace of mind, you need our house watch service, cheetah surveillance, and much more. International Detective and Protective Services, 1-773-675-8506. That's 1-773-675-8506. Call now.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit. Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just, please, don't leave. Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Golden's Tropical World. Come to Golden's Tropical World for tropical fish of all sizes, colors, and types, and other small animals like iguanas and birds from all over the world. There are beautiful tanks, pet supply needs, including dog and cat foods, and expert consultation. Check out Golden's Tropical World, 8611 South Ashland Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. Call ahead, 773-239-8809. Your pet shop.
That's low, that's low. That's low.
Look, he's blushing.
Seriously?
Thank you, dear. Well, you're very supple. It's like I was at your age. Back then, I was a sex expert. Used to call me the buttered biscuit. I know about birth control, too. So you can ask me anything, baby.
Bedsider.org has birth control information and a lot more. And it's...
Have you had sex in this car yet?
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
billion in our community, just 1/3 of it in our community, that will create, every $1 billion creates 150,000 jobs. Every $1 billion creates 150,000 jobs.
I know one thing about it, I'm looking forward to meeting the young man in person. As WL knows, I was in the Harold Washington administration and had one of the biggest jobs there, and it's key. WL bringing his camera down to Peoria, and so the world will be able to see, because he'll be able to interview some of these folks that we're talking about.
Right.
And if I can just get, and I know we're off air right now, if I can just get...
No, we're not off air yet. We're on the air now.
If I can
the
just
commercial is over. You hear me, Vince? Did you hear me? Vince,
Pardon?
The commercial is over. We're on the air.
Oh, good. Well, WL will be taking his camera and some of his technical people down to Peoria. So the world will get to see what the chamber and the events that we're talking about. And it's just so critical, WL. And once again, I just have to thank you for providing this open forum for over 40 years that is a depository of information for our community. And you do it at great expense. And a lot of times, WL, you bear the expense yourself. But you're a small business owner, and we just want to be able to just thank you publicly for what you do, because you have a passion for helping our people. So once again, WL, thank you.
Thanks, Vince.
I just would like to also, before we close out, just remind people about August 12th and 13th. I think it's that's next week. We will be in East Peoria, Illinois at the Paradise Hotel and Casino for those 2 days. It's a great opportunity for coming down, networking, and finding out ways that you can actually grow your business. It's not just about construction, it's about all industries, and it's about anyone that is in business that wants to do business. As I said before, the folks that are going to be down there control billions of dollars of revenue that is spent every year right here in the state of Illinois, and many of those dollars are even spent in our own communities. We may not recognize it when they're building new roads.
We not benefit from it.
Well, we are benefiting from it because, in a way, I mean, we're talking about highway upgrades, new bridges and roads.
Monetary.
Right. We're not benefiting because we're not working on them, which is a challenge that we face. But we're benefiting from them because of the usage of them, the function of them, but we're not benefiting from them because we're not working on them. They come into our communities, they do upgrades, and we'll see them on the street. Don't think twice about it. But that's money that's been invested in our community. Right.
Not working, watching someone else work in your community.
Well, the chamber wants, we're here to educate and to advocate. And so I'm encouraging people to come down to Peoria. It is an investment in your company's future. It's a way for you to really come down and learn how to do business and to network with folks who are issuing the contracts, who are creating the opportunities. So August 12th, August 13th, it's an overnight stay, but it's probably the best money you'll spend this year that you'll invest in your company. So I'm encouraging people, and you can go to www.ilbcc.org and register online. Vince gave the phone number, 309-740-4033, and you can go to www.ilbcc.org and register for the conference. I mean, if you're in business, it's the best investment you can make.
Now, if you want to start a business and you're interested in getting some knowledge, some forefront knowledge before you get that business going, or you're willing to say, hey, it's time for a change and we want some more self-esteem, we want some more education as to how we get things done in our communities to grow, then definitely call the show, because I don't have all the information here about different websites that we have. But 312-344-3642 is my direct cell line. I have no problem encouraging anyone to call to say, hey, you know what, I'm thinking about starting a business, so that maybe next year I'll have the money to register and go to this conference. Or maybe I'll have the opportunity to meet these people and communicate with them, and I do want to do business, I do want to grow, I want to hire employees. I want to understand all this stuff that I believe is so hard when it really is not. we have the opportunities for them to where we can meet them at the different Chicago Public Libraries. We also have offices in the Aon building. We have offices in the Willis Tower. We have offices in the John Hancock. So I can put classes together. I can put groups together of youth as young as 18 years old saying, and you know what? I'm going to be even more serious than that. I can guarantee that those who are ex-offenders who have been dummied down to believe that they can't be success stories, call me so I can make you a success story. Because at the end of the day, if you have, as the gentleman was saying, if you have a product or service and you are going to give your best and your all in that product or service, no one is interested in your past. They're interested in your present. They're interested in what you're doing for them. Because if you have a lawn care service or you have a dry cleaning service or you have whatever it is that you're offering to the community, if it is going to benefit that person, whether they're in whatever industry, they're going to support you. But it takes you to have the knowledge and the education to say, you know what? Yes, true indeed. Yesterday I felt this way, I thought this way, but now tomorrow I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to move forward. Yes, my community is going through struggles, but I'm going to be that man to stand up for my block or that man to stand up for my household and start the new generation for me so that the community can look at me and say, I have been there, I have done that, and now I'm moving forward in my life. So that's what we encourage people to do on my end so that they will have something to look forward to tomorrow. Because we can help start businesses for free. We can help get people the education they need to go forward, to talk to the right people, to get the SBA loans they need. There's so much information out there that is, again, in one place, which is the Harold Washington Library, but don't know how to get there, don't know where to go, don't know what to do. So my thing is to encourage, as Aquila Bey, Federation for Law and Government, I've been the president for 15 years, 16 years this month on the 25th of August. I can say there are lots of success stories that I have no problem presenting. And it's all about, again, what he was saying about networking. Because once I've placed someone in that Walgreens that has respectfully understood my training program, and I've had somebody hired for that Walgreens, once my guy has become the manager of that Walgreens, guess what? He's calling me and saying, hey, Bay, can you have 3 more guys I'm gonna need? Because my friends I hired, they ain't listened yet. But I know the people that you're training are just like me. They're gonna come to work, serious, do 8 hours and go home. So this is what has to be taught and instilled in our youth. Our youth are looking at different things that are going on, and we have to be able to separate and say there are rules of engagement to business. You can't be on your cell phone. You can't be doing certain things that they think is okay because they see it minorly out in the street. We have to be able to instruct our youth and instruct those who are really want to be business owners to understand that that's what it's about. It's about a woman or a man driving down the street and seeing that black kid or that black woman on their telephone when they should be working. Well, what are you going to provide? A business and a service that's going to say, I'm not into that, and I'm going to teach that woman or that man the importance of not doing it.
Tell us, before we go off there, tell us more about FLAG.
Okay, Federation for Law and Government was created August 25th, 1999. When I took over, I made it a private nonprofit agency so I wouldn't have to worry about any government telling me who, what, when, where, how, and why. All of our money comes from those who have seen the results. So we, in our community service, well, it's dealing with helping people get SSI or helping people with their Medicaid, Medicare, community services, dealing with, yes, I've lived a certain way for so long, I'm tired and I want to change. That's what Federation for Law and Government is doing. It is saying you've had one way of living and you're tired of it and you're willing to want to change. And the change comes by having someone who's willing to say, I believe in you, number one, and number two, I'm going to give you the resources. Are you willing, however, to look in the mirror and say, yesterday this was who I am, but tomorrow I'm going to be better? So that the community can look at me and say, you know what, he was that knucklehead down the street, but I noticed him today, he's different. And this is what it's about. Because when you walk into that Walgreens and you walk in that Jewel's, they already have their cameras. They've been watching you for 6 months. Now you walking in there with your suit on talking about you want a job. It's not that easy today. People are saying, hey, you were just in there the other day with your pants over your behind. How is my product or service?
You mean under your behind.
Right. How is my product or service going to sell? How is my Walgreens sales going to be 12, whatever, 15 points above what it is the Walgreens down the street? Because at the end of the day, that senior citizen is going to walk in. And if they're so busy looking at the Channel 9 news and seeing all the bad, and they walk into the store and they see you dressed the same way they saw on the bad, then she's going to go to the Walgreens down the street. So what we do is we teach that. We teach the responsibility of self-respect. We teach the responsibility of encouragement of self and others. We teach the importance of who we are as individuals, as men and women who need to move forward in life instead of be stagnant, and understand that whether you are on public aid, you want to move off. There is a will, there's a way. If you're on Social Security and you want to move off, there's a will, there's a way. But we have to have that encouragement, and that's what Federation for Law and Government has done for 15 years. So definitely call me at 312-344-3642, and I will get together whatever classes you need to go to. And I can print those success stories because I know people who have been through hell and back and didn't know where to go. So therefore, we give them that opportunity.
Okay, well, listen, I appreciate you. We're going to have you back often because we need to get those kind of messages out. Calvin, can't say, man, enough for the fact that a young man like yourself who has made a success in business and are now teaching others how to come up and do the same thing. That's important. That's important.
Yes, sir.
But see, one thing I want both of you guys to understand, that a business person don't just prop up. They're born. They're born. Business people. I opened my first business when I was 6 years old. Okay, and has been in business since that time. Although sidetracked a little bit here and there, but still business on the brain. Went into the Army at 16. But you see, nothing can distract a business person like a Frank Clark, who knew, proof positive, that he could not go out single-handedly and convince the people in the community to come and shop with him. So he would take a job making a couple $1 million a year. You know, so why should I go and go through all that trouble in the community when they're not shopping anyway?
Sure.
So Xerox, American Express, and all the others that we know who are in those big businesses, if we could convince the people to shop in the businesses that are in the community, regardless of what color they are, what nationality they are, shop in those businesses, but give them a mandate. We're shopping in these businesses to create jobs and opportunity.
Right.
Once we give them that mandate, and they are hiring people, and people are responding by shopping in the businesses because they're creating jobs and opportunities for the community, then blacks will say, okay, now they're shopping in the community, I can open a business in the community. And it won't be long before the business has a nice representation of black businesses in the community. Not saying cut anybody out, just cut us in.
Sure. Right. I want to point out something as well, WL, and that is that the most difficult challenge that black businesses or most other business owners face is trying to go at it alone.
Right.
Business in today's world is a team sport, and it's a contact sport. And to use another analogy, it's chess and not checkers. So an organization like the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce is not just an organization. We're a family of businesses that strive to do things that are going to help improve our businesses. And so when you're in IT, you know, you're an IT company, but guess what? There are many other IT firms that are members of our organization that are doing IT business. And so if you think that staying, keeping yourself in a cocoon and sort of isolated and doing things on your own is the way to go, you're going to fail. It's too much of a struggle. The opposition is too strong. The Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce is a force. Okay, we're a force out here in the state of Illinois. We have built a reputation of honesty and transparency and due diligence. We go out and we represent the interests of our business owners, and we do it with force. Okay, we do it with tact and skill, but we do it. And so, you know, what I'm encouraging business owners to do is to do your own research. Don't let other people tell you about anything. Do your own due diligence. Do your research on the Illinois State Black Chamber. Don't just let folks tell you what we've done and who we are. Our reputation and our identity stands on its own. You can call our office, you can go to our website, you can come to our meetings and see who we are for yourself. And that's why I'm encouraging folks to come down to the conference on the 12th and the 13th, because you will get a chance to see firsthand what the Illinois Black Chamber is all about. And if you're in business, you want to succeed, you better join an organization that's fighting for your best interest. And that, as a black person in Illinois, is the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce.
Right. And the address is 21 Black Jack Road in East Peoria. 21 Black Jack Road. And it's the Paradise Hotel.
That's right.
And casino. Paradise Hotel and Casino.
That's right.
Okay, we're out of time, guys, and I appreciate you, and appreciate your message to the community. The community deserves to see that we got people who are concerned about you and your welfare. Calvin has told us that all you got to do is come to the chamber, meet with black business people and others who are in need of business, employees or contractors. So come on down, join with us, and let's make it a very successful convention, 10th annual convention. And we will be streaming live across the world, letting you know who's there and how it's working. So if you want to be on television, come on down. We'll see you this time tomorrow.